Culturally Competent Assessment for Houston Christian University, Multicultural Counseling 5317, Spring Semester 2024, by Travis Boss. Culturally competent assessment in counseling is vital because it ensures that the therapeutic process is respectful and relevant to the client's cultural background. It allows counselors to understand and appropriately address the unique challenges and needs of individuals from diverse cultures. This approach helps in building trust and rapport, which are essential components of an effective therapeutic relationship. By being culturally aware, counselors can avoid misunderstandings and biases that could negatively impact the counseling outcome. Ultimately, culturally competent assessment leads to more personalized and effective care for clients, and the codes of ethics guiding counseling urge us towards cultural competence in assessment. Culturally competent assessment in counseling is a multifaceted approach that requires counselors to be deeply aware of their own biases and virtues and values, as well as those of their clients. Essential elements include the development of cultural awareness, knowledge, and skills. Counselors must strive to understand the client's worldview and context, which involves recognizing and respecting cultural differences in values, beliefs, and behaviors. It is also crucial to adapt assessment methods to be culturally sensitive to avoid diagnostic bias and to ensure that interventions are appropriate and effective. Culturally competent counselors are committed to continuous learning and self-reflection to enhance their understanding and effectiveness in working with diverse populations. This approach not only benefits the client, but also enriches the therapeutic process, leading to more accurate assessments and successful outcomes. An additional practice which goes hand in hand with culturally competent assessment is the idea of cultural humility. Practicing cultural humility in counseling means entering a relationship with another person with the intention of honoring their beliefs, customs, and values, and involves several elements. First is self-reflection, engaging in continuous self-exploration and self-critique to understand personal biases. Next is respectful engagement. We must honor patients' beliefs, customs, and values with an open and curious interpersonal stance. We must engage in lifelong learning, committing to an ongoing learning from others to avoid stereotyping and to appreciate individuality. We must recognize the power dynamics, addressing power imbalances in the patient-provider relationship and promoting equity in all forms of healthcare. These points emphasize the importance of recognizing the limits of one's cultural knowledge and the need for sensitivity and openness in patient interactions. Cultural humility is a process that complements and needs to be practiced alongside cultural competence, focusing on personal attitude and relationships rather than just knowledge. In Counseling the Culturally Diverse, the authors emphasize the significance of culturally competent assessment as a cornerstone for effective multicultural counseling. I very much agree with the approach that they took. They advocate for the adaptation of assessment practices to be culturally sensitive, recognizing the importance of understanding cultural variations in symptom presentation and help-seeking behaviors. The text underscores the necessity for counselors to be aware of their own biases and the impact these may have on diagnostic processes, ensuring that interventions are ethical and effective across diverse populations. We can assess ourselves for cultural competence in several areas. So here's a list of some cultural competence assessment tools. The Multicultural Counseling Self-Efficacy Scale, Racial Diversity Form, the Self-Assessment Checklist for Personal, providing services and supports to children and youth with special health needs in their families, the Ethnic Sensitive Inventory, or ESI, evaluating cultural competence in treatment programs and organizations, Agency Cultural Competence Checklist, revised form, Multiculturally Competent Services System Assessment Guide, Patient Satisfaction and Feedback on Clinical and Program Culturally Responsive Services, and the Iowa Cultural Understanding Assessment Client Form. In the realm of Christian counseling, culturally competent assessment is not merely a beneficial approach, but it is a necessary one to truly meet the needs of a diverse clientele. It involves a deep understanding and acknowledgement of the cultural backgrounds, beliefs, and values of individuals seeking guidance. This form of assessment is rooted in the recognition that each person's cultural identity significantly influences their worldview and life experiences. Counselors who embody cultural competence are better equipped to provide support that is not only empathetic, but also respectful and effective. They're able to navigate the complexities of cultural differences with sensitivity, thereby fostering a therapeutic environment where clients feel understood and valued. We've got some ways that we can assess ourselves using those different tools that are available. So all of this aligns with the Christian ethos of love and acceptance, reflecting Christ's own ministry, which transcended cultural boundaries. Ultimately, culturally competent assessment and the humility that involves in Christian counseling is a reflection of the inclusive nature of the gospel, which embraces all people from every walk of life, offering hope and healing through understanding and acceptance. This includes the presentation on culturally competent assessment. For more information, please see the American Association of Christian Counselors Codes of Ethics, the American Counseling Association Code of Ethics, the article Practicing Cultural Competence and Cultural Humility in the Care of Diverse Patients by Stu, the text Counseling Culturally Diverse by Sue et al., and the Center for Substance Abuse Treatment's article on improving cultural competence. It's Appendix C, the tools for assessing cultural competence. And lastly, the Williams text, Confronting Injustice Without Compromising Truth, which gives us some great insight on how to approach social justice issues from a culturally competent perspective. Thank you for listening.